Our first vocab word is brusque, which is an adjective. So we use it to describe people. We use it to describe styles of writing, styles of speaking, behaviors. And the definition is slightly rude in speech or manner. Our synonyms would be abrupt and short, and our antonyms would be warm and encouraging. So if you're being brusque, you are not being warm. So for instance, our sentence, my grandfather can be brusque and impatient. So if he's impatient and brusque, that probably means he's not the cuddliest, sweetest grandfather. He's not the kind that is going to bake you cookies, I guess. So brusque can be used to describe a person. So you can say the grandfather was brusque. It can also be used to describe a manner of speaking. You could say that the conversation seemed brusque. You could say that somebody's writing style seemed brusque. Their email or their text was brusque. Those are all appropriate ways to use the word. Next, we have the word hone, which is a verb. Hone means to make more pointed. So hone can be used both literally and figuratively. So our synonyms kind of reflect both of those. So hone means to sharpen something, but it also means to edge something. Antonyms would be dull or to lessen something. So for instance, our sentence is a good example of figurative use of the word. So my appetite was honed by fresh air and exercise. So this person's appetite was sharpened. They became more hungry after the fresh air and the exercise. I would also talk about honing a knife, right? I could literally hone the edge to make the edge more pointed. Or I could hone a stick if I'm out there camping and I want to have something to poke my marshmallows with. I could hone the stick. So it's both literal, like in those cases, but also figurative. So you might say that somebody honed their skills at something. They sharpened their skills at something. They became better. So it can be used both ways. Next, we have espouse, which is a verb. Espouse means to support. So our synonym would be defend. Our other synonym is champion, to champion somebody or to defend them. And our antonyms would be to forsake or to reject somebody. So our sentence, the politician espoused the president's opinions and worked to help get the bill passed. So the politician is supporting the president's opinions. The way that I always remember the definition of this verb is it has the word spouse in there, like your partner, maybe your husband or wife would be your spouse, and you probably want to support your spouse. You would espouse your spouse. So that's a good way that I always kind of remember the definition. All right. Next, we have a fun one to say, odious. Odious is an adjective, and it means extremely unpleasant. So our synonyms are foul or distasteful, and our antonyms are pleasant or welcome. So you would use it to describe something that is just gross. I always remember it because it sounds like odor, right? An unpleasant odor. So our sentence, Charles was assigned the odious task of laying off the entire division. So it was an unpleasant thing to have to lay everybody off, right? He doesn't want to have to tell people they don't have a job. So it was an odious task. It was unpleasant. It was foul. It was distasteful. You might also refer to an odious smell. You can even describe a person as odious if they're very unpleasant. All right. And finally, we have posterity, which is a noun. Excuse me. All right, so posterity means all future generations. Our synonyms are heirs or lineage, and our antonyms are past or memory. So basically, when you talk about posterity, you're talking about everybody who would come after you. So it's like the opposite of your ancestors is posterity, all future generations. So our sentence, at Ground Zero in New York, victims' names are read aloud each year for the sake of posterity. So basically, they're reading the names of the victims of the 9/11 attacks. They read them aloud so that all future generations remember their names or have heard of them or know what happened. So it's for posterity. It's for those future generations. All right. So hopefully this helps.